Hey, Shalom Akim. First and foremost, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Of course, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. This is Naaman of the DC camp. It's a follow up to a video I did a few days back on when Trump, the legal consequences that he faces when he leaves office. This is a follow up to it. This is from 9 News. It says Donald Trump, when he, wait a minute, hold on. It says the long line of people waiting to sue Donald Trump when he's no longer president because what? He had that hedge around him afforded him through the office that he held, the office of president. All right. It says outgoing U.S. President Donald Trump could be facing a legal reckoning like no other when he packs up his bags and leaves the White House. There was already a rumor by, I believe it was his son-in-law, was it Jared Kushner, that he's going to leave the country if Biden wins. And now you know why. It says, ousted from the top job, Mr. Trump will find himself without many of the legal protections his presidency afforded him. Mr. Trump is currently facing multiple investigations looking into possible fraud in his financial business dealings as a private citizen. Remember, there was this, ever since he was running for president back in 2015 and 2016, to keep his tax records out of the public eye. All right. He said he also faces the defamation lawsuit sparked by his denials of accusations made by women who have alleged he assaulted them, including who picture you see here, E. Jean Carroll, the former magazine columnist who has accused him of rape. All right. And then there are claims he corrupted the presidency for his personal profits. As president, Mr. Trump has been able to block and delay several of these investigations and lawsuits, including a year-long fight over a subpoena for his tax returns, in part because of his official position. Many of those matters have wound through the courts and would have come to a head whether he lost the election or not. All right. He said, but the stakes have just become much higher for Mr. Trump. A raft of legal issues, including a criminal investigation by New York prosecutors, will come into focus in the weeks ahead. In every regard, his leaving office makes it easier for prosecutors and plaintiffs in civil cases to pursue their cases against him. Harry Sandick, a former federal prosecutor in the Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office, said, Slocky in my voice. For example, he is claiming a higher protection from subpoenas in the criminal cases and also in the congressional subpoena cases, and that is based largely on the fact that he is president. Some have suggested a formal apparatus for investigating Mr. Trump after he leaves office. Representative Eric Swalwell, a California Democrat, has floated the creation of a presidential crimes commission. All right, it's a little bit too late for that now. Made up of independent prosecutors who can examine those who enabled a corrupt president, as he put it in an August tweet. Example, sabotaging the mail to win an election. The most serious legal threat facing Mr. Trump is the Manhattan District Attorney's broad criminal investigation into the financial workings of the Trump Organization. Prosecutors have suggested in court filings that the investigation could examine whether the president and his company engaged in bank fraud, insurance fraud, criminal tax fraud, and falsification of business records. In the course of that probe, Mr. Trump has repeatedly challenged a subpoena to his accounting firm for 8 years of tax returns and financial records. When it was just revealed not long ago that he paid what, $750 in taxes, and man, that's just wow. It says, in the course of that probe, Mr. Trump has repeatedly challenged a subpoena to his accounting firm for 8 years of tax returns and financial records. While there were legal questions as to whether a state prosecutor could file charges against a sitting president, Jennifer Rogers, a CNN legal analyst and former federal prosecutor, last month predicted the case would move quickly if Mr. Trump lost the election. It says, opening the floodgates of lawsuits, it says now Mr. Trump has lost the election. All right, he will lose the deference that courts have given to sitting presidents opening the floodgates to many lawsuits. One case awaiting decision is a defamation lawsuit filed in New York State Court by a former contestant on The Apprentice, Summer Zervos, who claimed Mr. Trump sexually assaulted her in 2007. Ms. Zervos, I believe that's her with that. Let's see. Yeah, that is her. It says one case. It says Miss Zervos has said Mr. Trump kissed her on the lips during a lunch meeting in his New York City office, and has alleged he kissed her aggressively and touched her breast during another encounter in Beverly Hills. And that's this lawyer right here. She's famous for taking cases like that. What's her name? Gloria Allred. Yeah. She sued after she received harassment and threats following his denial of her claims, after a New York State court judge denied Mr. Trump's efforts to dismiss Zervos' lawsuit. The president appealed the ruling, arguing that the Constitution's supremacy clause bars a state court from hearing an action against a sitting president. It says less sway over potential witnesses. It says one wild card is what would happen to a decade-long civil tax audit conducted by the IRS, which falls under the Treasury Department, and whether it could be escalated under a Biden administration to the Justice Department for review. According to the New York Times, the IRS is looking at a $72.9 million tax refund credit Trump claimed. Lawyers have predicted the sway Mr. Trump once held over accountants, bankers, and those in his inner circle who would be crucial witnesses to authorities would disappear with exit from the Oval Office. They're going to be much less afraid to talk about someone who is no longer the president. She added that a case involving allegations of false statements to banks or tax fraud will likely be heavily documented, which, once the subpoena for the tax returns is produced, could aid the investigation. The Office of Legal Counsel memo has already insulated Mr. Trump from possible indictment in two instances. The first of which, is the special counsel investigation led by Robert Mueller, which found evidence that Mr. Trump had committed obstruction of justice but didn't charge him. And that's Mueller right there. Alright. He says, secondly, there was an investigation by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York, which cited Mr. Trump as individual one in charging his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, with campaign finance crimes for facilitating hush money payments to two women who alleged affairs with Mr. Trump. All right, and that's another thing, because Cohen, I believe he was granted. Did he pardon him? But in any case, we know why now. All right, it's something that hopefully he would keep his mouth shut. Mr. Trump has denied the affairs. Mr. Cohen says Mr. Cohen pleaded guilty and said under oath that Mr. Trump had directed him to break the law. Mr. Cohen was reimbursed for those payments from the Trump organization well into 2017. All right, because it was also alleged that he paid off that porn star. It says Mr. Cohen has reimbursed those payments to the Trump organization well into 2017, which could extend the statute of limitations on that crime into 2022. So it's a 5-year statute of limitations. Some lawyers have speculated that it's possible Mr. Trump would attempt to pardon himself from federal crimes before he leaves office. The decision of whether to revive those investigations will fall to a Biden administration and top law enforcement officials leading the Justice Department and Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office. In testimony before Congress, Mueller was asked by Republican Representative Ken Buck of Colorado, could you charge the president with a crime after he left office? Yes, Mueller replied. You believe that he committed? You could charge the president of the United States with obstruction of justice after he left office? Buck asked. Mueller answered, yes. So you see, that's all to that. I just wanted to bring that to the forefront because, hey, like the saying goes, on the way up, all those people you offended and screwed over. Hey, guess what? On the way down, you got to see those same people. All right. So he's in for a world of hurt. Let's get some scriptures here. This is, oh man, this is Psalms chapter 18. And wow, this is big, at least for some great entertainment in the following weeks. Uh, it says, Psalms chapter 18:25. With the merciful thou wilt show with the merciful thou wilt shew thyself merciful. With an upright man thou wilt shew thyself upright. With the pure thou wilt shew thyself pure, and with the froward thou wilt shew thyself froward. All right, let's go on to see what that froward is, just for edification's sake. Froward. All right, and that's Strong's. H6617. Pathal, to twist, to wrestle, to be twisted, torturous. All right, to shew self unsavory. All right. So that same way, you dealt with people, that's the way you're going to be dealt with. All right. Let's see. Verse. All right. For thou wilt save the afflicted people, but will bring down high looks, and nobody is more exemplifies the proud more than Donald Trump. All right. No one. This is Psalms. Let's go back one chapter. Let's see. This is Psalms chapter 17. Let's see where I want to start at. Verse 9 says, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who can pass me by. Alright, it says, they, people like Trump, are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. Alright, they have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. Alright. Verse 12, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as if it were young lion lurking in secret places. All right, because you got to consider, how did his family, talking about Trump, get their wealth? All right, and many an Edomite, along with him. It says 13, arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. All right, because it was the Most High that set individuals like this up. Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look too good for Donald Trump. All right.
What's up, you guys? Today I'm going to show you one of the easiest ways to save.
All right. This is 13. It says, arise, O Most High Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. Alright. It says, from men which are thy hand, O Most High Yahweh, from men of the world which have their portion in this life, which that would include Trump, in whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. All right, because a big part of that is what? Known as inheritance. All right, which we, being under the curses, we're not able to do. All right, so there you go. People like him, you can Psalm 73. All right, but that's going to be it for that. I don't want to spend too much time on that. It's just that, hey, he's looks like he's going to get what's been long overdue coming to this guy. All right, proud devil. So hey, I hope whoever reviews this is edified. Once again, says the article here from 9 News: a long line of people waiting to sue Donald Trump when he's no longer president. So again, there was another article called something to the effect that how dangerous Trump could be as a lame duck president. So all this running up and down the streets, honking your horns, and F Trump and all this. Yeah, he's going out, but hey, this guy can still do a lot of harm. All right. So with that, call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashim Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashim Kakwadash, and of course double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. All right. So with that, shalom.